Welcome to the Disciples of the Watch podcast with your hosts, Gene Vogel and Nate Matnich.
Disciples, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Disciples of the Watch.
On this episode, we're going to share our personal top 11 cover songs performed by thrash metal bands and compare our list to Loudwire's list that we featured back in January of this year on episode 387. I'm Nate Matnich.
And I'm Gene Vogel. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, this one we've been kicking the can down. Scheduling-wise, I think it just had to be done. And for me, I was kind of grateful for even more time to dig and kind of decide, because there were some hard choices to be made in this one for me.
Yeah, there's some good ones, definitely covers by thrash bands, and a lot of mine go back to my youth. These were covers that I loved by thrash bands back when the albums were coming out that these are on, or the EPs. A lot of them are from EPs and stuff, but yeah, some of these bands, some of the thrash bands have went on to do some really good covers. So mine's all Metallica. I basically just put Garage Days on my list. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, hopefully you got more diversity than that.
Yeah. I didn't do any doubles of bands.
Yeah, I followed the list and did the same, where it's like you just have to find that band and pick your top one from that band, and there's no dinking around with it. You just got to pull up your big boy pants and make a choice. So here the idea, Nate, I think we were going to, let's see, I have it here in my notes. Oh, so we basically just decide, because we've never done this before, which one of us would go first and try to choose a band, or the song that band and song that you would think that we possibly have crossover on, especially if it's already on the master list. And we'll have this in the show notes at dotwpod.com for this specific episode, or if you even look up episode 387, which is still available on our feed. So no problems there. Of course, it'll always be available on our website as far as the notes portion of it. And of course, in our Patreon site, you can see the master list and you can get the descriptions, why they chose what they chose, and all that kind of good stuff. But back when we did this in April, Nate and I had issues with this original list, and we figured we could absolutely do a better job than what this list put out there. And actually, as I look at it, I'm like, God, I feel like we're smoking this one. Just based on what I know of you, I'm curious to see if you throw me curveballs and vice versa as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to kick it off. I think I have one that we both could potentially have on our same list.
Okay, do it.
All right. And so the first one I have is Overkill, Fuck You, which I
absolutely.
You do have it?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, the fact that this wasn't on the original list and they had Frankenstein instead is just like, I can't even believe it. And of course, Fuck You was on their EP called Fuck You from 1987, and it is a cover of the Subhumans from their self-titled EP from 1979. This is just an amazing cover. And when I was young, listening to it, I didn't even really know it was a cover, actually. So I just assumed it was an Overkill song.
Yep, I am right there with you. I had no idea that this was not one of their original songs. It wouldn't be for a while before I learned that. And that's one of the beauties of the covers, too. I found when I was kind of scouring through all the covers I own in my collection that some of them are like, hey, cool, you redid a song that sounds pretty close to the song that's already been out there. Or you picked a popular song and did nothing really different. You just added a little bit of your spit to it, and that's about it. So some of those just... I was easy to jettison those ones where it's like, no, I'm looking for the cream to rise to the top. And yeah, this one, it's synonymous with Overkill. And that's the beauty of some of these covers is some people even forget about the originals. Like when you think of like Johnny Cash and Hurt, people are like, that's, even Trent Reznor says, that's the legitimate version of that song right there. And he'll still perform the song, of course, but, and he did write it. He didn't write it for Johnny. Right. Johnny just said, or Rick Rubin said, here's a collection of songs, let's cover something. And just hit it out of the fucking ballpark with Hurt.
Yeah, he made it his own.
Now, of course, that's not on our list because that's not a thrash song. And it's not a thrash band. Johnny Cash, I would love to have seen Johnny do some thrash.
Yeah.
At least vocally. I could see him in more of a Motorhead situation, though.
Yeah, I mean, he did Rusty Cage from Soundgarden, which isn't like a super hard rocker, but it's a little, heavy-ish.
Yes. So that one, yeah, like you mentioned, that one was not on the original list. They had completely erred in that one and put Frankenstein on there, and I just don't get it. Actually, and the funny thing is I listened to it again recently, and it's been so long since I've listened to it that I didn't mind it again. But again, it is not worthy of going over Fuck You. There's probably a couple other covers I might slide in there even over that one specifically from Overkill.
Yeah, they've done some other good covers like Black Sabbath's Cornucopia. But, I mean, Fuck You is still a staple in their live shows.
Yes.
And Frankenstein is not.
Yeah, that one, I think that one died, and then right after the album came out, they probably performed it a few times. Actually, I feel like I saw that at Station 4, or Ryan's, I should say, back in the day. But of course, that could be, just one of those memories you think you had, but maybe didn't. But it feels like I did. For some reason, I feel like, the Blitz, he likes to leave the stage when he's not singing. And it felt like he was gone for the full length of for that song, and that would be why, because he doesn't need to be out there dancing. Blitz don't dance. We should get T-shirts that say that.
Oh yeah, and wear that to the show. You'd probably get brought backstage or something. He's a good sport, I think.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so as well. But I'm not willing to do weird stuff backstage, Nate. I don't know what you're thinking there.
Okay, I don't know. I wouldn't know what I was thinking either.
Nice. So I feel like we completely smoked that one. I mean, nothing against Edgar Winter and even Frankenstein. It's like, it's okay. But I just, for top 10 material, or top 11, material, that's just a shame.
And this list is called the best cover songs.
Yes.
Not good ones or cool ones or, this guy came up with the best. So I think he had some weak ones on his list, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And there's even bands that are making my list, and I'm sure you have the same from the original list. And this is by quote unquote big thrash bands too, by the way. That was their cover songs. Best cover songs, that's the title of it, is Best Cover Songs by 11 big, and air quotes, so to speak, thrash metal bands. Now, Nate, I'm going to jump off of something off the list that I did match up with, and I have a feeling you may, but I'm also curious to see if there's something that maybe sparked you a little bit more to not choose this one, and that is Slayer's Dissonant Aggressor from South of Heaven. And of course, Judas Priest did that originally. Do you have that?
Okay, I really wanted to put that on my list because that is definitely an amazing fucking cover. And another one that I didn't know was a cover back in the day because I wasn't a big Priest fan, when I was younger. So
yep.
I didn't even know that was a Judas Priest song. Another one I think they made their own and did better than the original. I have Slayer on my list, but it's not that cover.
Ooh, okay. Well, like I said, that was on their original list, and I decided, although I did have a song that I was fighting, the only reason I kind of jettisoned it quickly was because it was never released as a studio track, and that was DDAM, Drivers Against Mad Mothers from Pap Smear. And it's Jeff wrote it, and I know he played bass on it, and Rocky George played guitar on it. As far as the demo side of things, I did pull that demo out, and it's like, no, this wasn't even like good releasable quality demo type of stuff. So I'm like, I can't in good conscience even really fully consider that even as much as I like that song. And when you're talking about Metallica, I could easily throw Undisputed Attitude. If you want to talk about a covers album, hell, we could even do that some days. See if I don't know how many bands would have like a cover to cover covers album that is like a must own. And for me, Slayer and Metallica are two that come to mind. I don't even think I could do that with the B-side ourselves with the Anthrax one where they did all those covers. I think there's a few things in that kind of pull it down. I mean, still okay listening, but just something about those two releases off the top of my head are like grade A, you cannot miss.
I would agree with that. I think that Anthrax has a number of really good covers in their career, but they don't hold up as a collection like Undisputed Attitude or Garage Days Revisited or even Garage Days Inc.
Now, what they could do is if they had taken a collection, like if you and I sent them a list and said, if you put this out, you will have a grade A competition with Slayer and with Metallica. just by putting out these releases. Megadeth couldn't do that, I don't think. When you're talking big
No,
four.
Megadeth doesn't have a big body of covers that are good.
Correct. And they got a fair amount, I guess. But yeah, those early covers were like, good God, what are you thinking? Ain't Superstitious and et cetera, et cetera. So what is your Slayer cover then?
I went with Slayer and Ice-T with Disorder. It's from the Judgment Night soundtrack in 1993, and it is a medley of 3 exploited songs from their Troops of Tomorrow album. And I did not put the date. I think it's like 1981 or something that came out, or 82, because there's a song called UK 82. But I continually put this on metal playlists. I fucking love how angry and aggressive it is, and it's got a street kind of quality to it. So I rolled with it. I considered Inagata Devita because I think their cover of that is fucking phenomenal as well. But I just really like this, and I've been listening to that Troops of Tomorrow album all day today. So it's I like the Exploited quite a bit. But
nice. That is a good one. I didn't even think about that going into the movie soundtrack type stuff. I guess maybe I did, but that one didn't even come to mind. I don't know why. I guess I didn't consider.
And the way they put the 3 songs together is fucking awesome. I didn't know it was a cover when I first heard it. I first heard this song.
It's a medley.
I heard it on Soundtrack to the Apocalypse was the first time I heard it, and then found out it was on that soundtrack, and then later on found out it was a medley of 3 exploited songs that they put together. I think they're in the same order that they are on the album, and they just go, they just blend it together into one song, and it's just fucking cool.
Yeah.
And instead of saying UK 92, they say LA 92, and this was going on during the LA riots.
Oh, the riots. Yeah.
So it's fucking angry. I love it.
But yeah, that's one thing. Slayer, their covers don't always hit. The Born to Be Wild is okay. It's like some of that, it's kind of fun to listen to every once in a while. But, like I could put like a couple of the albums that we mentioned already, I could put those on repeat and just listen to, Undisputed Attitude or Garage Days. Now, one thing, that's what I was going to mention is Undisputed Attitude. They had a lot of those where they took 3 songs from a band and made like a medley of it, so to speak. But it flows so well. It's not like they're complete songs, so it's technically not a medley. It's just, bam, we're going to hit you with Free Money, and bam, we're going to hit you with, Violent Pacification or whatever. So they're blending in. I don't know I'm so unfamiliar with the original artists that I don't even remember what's on there. I just know if I put on Undisputed Attitude, I'm going to enjoy it from cover to cover. But they did that same thing where they took the multiple tracks from an artist and put them all together and made like just a kick-ass 5-minute song out of 3 tracks, if even 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, punk covers for Slayer is perfect because
Tom's voice.
They've got the punk vibe.
The vibe.
Time.
Yep, totally agree.
Especially with Dave's drumming, but I don't think Dave Lombardo drummed on Undisputed Attitude. I think that was Paul Bostoff.
You're right.
Dave Lombardo's drumming is very much punk rock, in my opinion. Beefed up, of course.
So hit me with another one, Nate.
I'm going to stick with some of the bigger bands for now, and then I'll get into the little bit less big towards the end. I'm going to go with Anthrax, covering Sabbath Bloody Sabbath from the I'm the Man EP 1987, which was originally done by Black Sabbath, of course, on their Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album from 1973. I've loved this cover since I first heard it on the I'm the Man EP way back in the 80s. I wasn't even a big Black Sabbath fan back then, but I love the cover. I thought they did an amazing job, and I listened to it recently, and it's held up over the years.
That is a interesting choice, and I had that in my consideration bucket because I enjoy that one quite a bit. And I just went back and revisited it, and I thought there's just one I think pops a little bit more for me. And this could be one of those that in a week I might go, shoot, I should have went with the same thing. And maybe it's just because that early exposure to Anthrax, that was my early exposure to Anthrax, was that EP. And with I'm the Man, and that turned me into an Anthrax fan, was diving into that. And so when I go back and revisit it, I kind of get back into that 80s, something about the back of the memory type of thing, and where I was in that time listening to that cassette and just loving that thing. But I didn't go with that one. I went for my Anthrax pick, which I do have one, was Antisocial.
Yeah.
I know it's overplayed, and that's part of the reason I didn't want to pick it, but it just bangs, and they totally just own the song. And the Trust version is good too, don't get me wrong. And they even, or who was it? God dang it, was it Phil Lynott that convinced them to sing in English back in the day for that song? God, somebody did that, and it's at the very back of my memories. One thing I was considering, but then there was another caveat where like, oh, wait a minute, Anthrax wasn't a thrash band at this time. So it made my choice easier because I was able to eliminate that going, you know what, even though Anthrax has tendencies or had tendencies in the 90s for thrash, they weren't always doing that. They weren't kind of a thrash band. They were experimenting and doing different things, and they had elements of thrash. But it was Cowboy Song from Thin Lizzy. And that one, they do such an awesome version. They turned me on to that song from Thin Lizzy, and I love both versions. John Bush does such a fabulous job singing that one. The band as a whole does a great job performing it. But another one, Nate, was Bring the Noise.
Yeah.
I really enjoy their version of Public Enemy's Bring the Noise. And getting Chuck and Flavor Flav on that was brilliant. And the fact that they played along with it and had fun. But yeah, and there's my also ran as Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So I was looking at my whole list there. Anthrax was a tough one, man. I kind of forgot that their covers aren't always winners, but man, when they do hit, they can really hit big.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good ones, and the original list had Got the Time, which was definitely a consideration.
Yes. Same.
Amazing cover. Bring the Noise was almost going to be the one. No band that I can think of in the thrash scene could have teamed up with hip-hop like Anthrax. I don't know if it's them being from New York and growing up in that environment that hip-hop came out of, but it just seems like they were the perfect band for it. And I always thought I'm the Man was a really cool, hip-hop, song, but it was very it was more comedy. This was, Bring the Noise is
yes.
like serious business, They also do a really good cover of Parasite from Kiss, and they do a really good cover of Protest and Survive from Discharge. But Black Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was just one that, again, I had mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, that a number of these I was really into growing up, and they've held up over the years, and so that's why I ultimately went with that one.
Yeah, I definitely cannot spit on the selection on the list, the original list that we're basing our selections off of with Joe Jackson's Got the Time. I definitely, that was one, it was a consideration for me, but it's just, when I had to kind of filter everything out, it fell down a little bit. But it was definitely something I considered. But those ones that I mentioned, other than Cowboy Song, just because, again, they weren't a thrash band at the time, I just pulled that one immediately. Then it was like, God, am I going to go with Bring the Noise, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, or Antisocial? And then I kind of listened to them, and again, in a week, I could have a different opinion. I might feel like, God, I should have picked Bring the Noise, or I should have said Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So actually, I'm glad you covered it for the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath on that one.
Antisocial is one of my favorite Anthrax songs. So
nice.
I'm glad you have it on the list. I really wanted to, but it just, like you said, it's almost so obvious. But they did make that their song. I mean, in my opinion, like they did a really good job. Anyways,
did you ever hear the Joey in French version?
No.
Yeah, he sings it in French. There is a version that they did.
I'll have to take a look. Listen.
Nate, what'd you have from Death Angel? They have cold gin. What do you have?
None. I'm not even a big fan of Death Angel, so they weren't even in consideration.
Okay, well, they didn't make my list either. So how about Exodus? What do you got from Exodus?
No Exodus.
What? Let me check my list here. Oh, you know what? I don't have any Exodus either. Well, there's a couple right out of the list. Okay, this one you gotta have. Probably the same song. Flotsam and Jetsams, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
They did not make the list, though. I did like that cover back in the day. This one is not as held up. It hasn't held up over the years as much for me, but no. I only have one song from the list, so I have some common bands, but as far as songs, I've only got one from the list. That's a copy or whatever.
Okay, well, definitely you had to have Surfing Bird on your list, right, from Sodom?
Nope, but I have a different surf cover. I had to put the better one to knock that one down.
There's a teaser. Well, shoot, Nate, you're eliminating all the stuff that I helped, or that I also eliminated. I don't have any Sodom on my list. Although, oh wait, no, I was thinking Tank. They didn't make my cut though with Crazy Horses. As much as I love that song, I like the original and I like their version of it. It just didn't bring it enough for me. So I'm going to go with one that I have a feeling you have this band on your list. I don't think you'll have the same song as me on your list, but let's find out together here. On the original list, there is a Metallica song, and that is Stone Cold Crazy, originally by Queen. Again, great song, great cover, just not top material for me with Metallica. I went with, after much consideration, I went with Bread Fan.
Yeah, Bread Fan's a good one. Metallica I have on my list. I've considered many different tracks because they just have a knack for doing really good covers. And I saw Bread Fan on another list, actually. I was looking at some other popular thrash cover lists or whatever. But I went with Green Hell and Last Caress from the Garage Days Revisited, which was originally Misfits. And that's from 2 albums. That's Green Hell was on Earth AD from 1983. And Last Caress was on their Beware EP from 1980, and then also on Static Age, which was their first album, but that wasn't released until the mid-90s. Being a big fan of punk back in the day and kind of being alone in that, because my friends that liked metal weren't really into punk too much, I loved, the fact that Metallica covered some punk. And that was actually my introduction to Last Caress. I was familiar with Green Hell, but I didn't know Last Caress, so I kind of learned about that from Metallica, actually.
Yeah, Metallica's version of Bread Fan was on a B-sides originally, Harvester of Sorrow and Eye of the Beholder back in 88. What? Oh, that's right, 1988. What am I thinking? I jumped into the Black Album in my brain, but even though I was looking at the song titles, Harvester of Sorrow and Eye of the Beholder was a B track, and it was originally by Budgie from 1973. Never Turn Your Back on a Friend.
I either wanted to do Small Hours or The Wait, because I just fucking love both of those songs. But
yes,
I mean, there's a lot. Their medley of Merciful Fate is right on. I mean, to cover a Merciful Fate song at all is pretty wild, and then the fact that they did a medley is pretty awesome. But yeah, they have a lot of good covers to choose from.
Yeah, you can almost not go wrong, and that's why I can't really shun the list selection, because I do enjoy Stone Cold Crazy as well.
Yeah,
but it just didn't feel like it was a strong enough one in there. That cover made me go back and check out Queen, because I'm like, damn, this is pretty heavy, but no, Queen doesn't add up. I like the Queen version. I'll throw that on lists every once in a while or whatnot. Yeah, I dig it.
All right, well, I got one here that's on a band which is on the list, but of course the song is not, and that is Megadeth. So the original list had Anarchy in the UK, which, I used to dig that cover quite a bit back in the day, but it didn't age well for me. But the one Megadeth that has continued to hold up for covers is These Boots from Killing's My Business, 1985. We talked about this quite a bit here in a previous episode. It was originally done by Nancy Sinatra on her Boots album from 1966, which was her debut album. Just, the way he changed up the lyrics and his attitude and the way the song just rips, I just think it's one of the best covers Megadeth has done. So I put that on my list.
Yeah, that's right. They had the Anarchy in the UK. In my note, I have Anthrax's cover of God Save the Queen is a far better listen than Megadeth's Sex Pistols cover. So I'd recommend that one over their selection. But for my selection, and I do have Megadeth on my list, Nate, is These Boots.
Nice.
It's finally won me over. I remember thinking it's kind of a novelty song and thinking it was, but man, it fucking rages. It's Dave unhinged. It's, it's got that train wreck possibility that is fun about early thrash. And even when I played it on the radio show on the 24-hour takeover, somebody on the Discord jumped in there and was like, God, this is killer. And I'm like, have you not heard this before? Come on, it's early Megadeth. But I think for so many years, I just kind of poo-pooed it and was like, who cares? But going through, especially digging through their collection of covers, it's like they got some stuff that's okay, and they got some stuff that just makes me kind of cringe. But this one, it's growing on me considerably. To obviously, I'm picking it. It's one of my top 11 in the original form from the original "Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good" from 1985.
Yeah, that's an important clarification because it was redone, and then of course it was censored, and there was some different things that happened with that song. But I'm talking the original one from "Killing Is My Business." Yeah, that's fucking rips.
And that re-record he did, yeah, was just garbage. It's sacrilege. And I know he did it to placate the writer's estate and all that shit, but it's his voice isn't the same, not even close, and that's understandable because he's like 40 years older or whatever it is. Yeah. Did you have when These Boots came out by chance? The year?
From Nancy
1966.
Sinatra. Yeah, it was her debut album, Boots, 1966.
So I think, God, I wonder if that's the oldest reach back on the list. I guess we'll find out as we go. But
I have one that goes back to 63.
Oh, nice. So not Nancy.
That would be the second oldest, though, These Boots.
Yeah, because I thought maybe Bread Fan had it, but then I was like, no, These Boots came up before that. Well, Nate, they have Sepultura on the list. Unfortunately, in my opinion, and I'll see what your selection is if you have one from Sepultura, Orgasmatron. It's too close to what Motorhead does, and it doesn't do anything for me. Again, I'm not a big Motorhead fan either. I felt it kind of a weak selection, but they've got some bangers too. And it was a tough pick, but I went to the one I did the One Mother of a Cover special on for the Patreon group, and that is Sepultura, The Hunt, originally by New Model Army, which was released in 1986, and it was part of their album The Ghost of Cain. And Sepultura did it on KSAD with 1993. And I am going to put a kind of a shine on a non-Max song, Bullet the Blue Sky, that they did, the U2 song, is a really good cover as well, and a non-Max cover. But of course, I went with New Model Army and The Hunt from Sepultura.
I kept Orgasmatron. This is the one track I matched with the list. It's probably one of my favorite Motorhead songs. It's up there. And I remember, being in high school, going to Sun's Rock and Roll Items in downtown Minneapolis, and they had the T-shirt from the tour, and it said, "Ride the Orgasmatron. I came, did you?" And I always wanted that shirt. Never got it back in the day, but I just think I've always really liked the song, and I thought Sepultura did a really nice job with it. So I kept that on here. And it's a bonus track from Arise. It was on the Japan and the Brazil release from 1991. And I feel like they kind of left being a thrash band after Arise. So just a personal opinion. And Orgasmatron from Motorhead came out in 1986.
There's only one band left on the list, Nate, on their master list.
Yep.
We eliminated all the ones that weren't worthy, the Exoduses, the Flotsam and Jetsoms of the world and such.
And I don't have any from that band that's left.
Ooh. Well, I guess I'll save that. So you're up.
I'm going to talk about the Surf song. So right when we talked about doing this, I knew I was going to put this one on the list because I think it's such a better Surf cover than Surfin' Bird from Sodom. And I went with MOD's cover of Surfin' USA. And it's from their Surfin' MOD EP from 1987. The song was originally done by the Beach Boys as a single in 1963 and was also on their Surfin' USA album from 1963. I love to this day the Surfin' MOD album from front to back. It's really fun to listen to. I remember doing a painting of the album cover when I was in art class in high school. Where the dude got his leg fucking chewed off by the shark. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. So that's my surf song cover. I think it's way better than Surfin' Bird from Sodom.
Yeah, that's one I don't have on my list. So I'm going to jump over to the one that you don't have on your list because you've already kind of tipped your hand on that one. And that is Testament. They have Nobody's Fault from Aerosmith, and I carried that onto my list as well. It was funny because I remember hearing it, and I'm like, I swear I've heard this song before. And sometimes it's like, is it just a sound alike or what's going on here? But then eventually I'd realize, oh, that's an Anthrax cover. That's an Aerosmith, a different A name. That came out in 1976, and that was on Rocks, and then Testament covered it on the 1988's The New Order. And they did a good job testamenting it up, and the original is also a very good song as well. So no smoke on the Aerosmith version, but no Testament for you.
No Testament. That is a good cover, though. All right. Next up, I've got Voivod covering Astronomy Domini from their Nothing Face album, 1989. This is a Pink Floyd cover from Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, 1967. When this came out, I was just getting into the really psychedelic era of Pink Floyd. I was experimenting with LSD and stuff around that time and getting into some of the more psychedelic music, and quickly fell in love with early Pink Floyd. And so when Voivod came out with this, man, I was all over it, and it's held up as a pretty fucking awesome cover. I'm guessing you don't have that one on your list.
Nate, I have Voivod on my list, and I do have Astronomy Domini on my list.
Seriously?
I seriously do. I'm looking at my list right now.
Oh, shit.
It came out on cassette from the forthcoming album titled, this is the title of the cassette. It was a demo or whatever you call it. They're trying to pre-sell the Nothing Face album, and it came out on the forthcoming album Nothing Face 1989. But it's the edited version that's on that cassette, and then when they put it out on Nothing Face, it's the unedited version from the same year. So they put out that teaser cassette for promotional use, and then they released Nothing Face. And you turned me on to this one.
Cool, man.
And when I went to revisit, I'm like, I forgot how much this smokes. I can't not have this on my list.
I'm totally surprised. That's awesome.
Threw you a curveball there.
Yeah, Voivod is, they're considered a thrash band, but they're a little bit, I don't know if you want to say on the fringes, but then, Death Angel isn't really a straightforward thrash band back then either. They had a whole different thing going on. The nice thing about thrash, in the 80s is it wasn't an established genre yet. So there wasn't really a formula for it. There was just a lot of these bands that, Creator and Sodom were totally different than Metallica and Megadeth, which were totally different than Death Angel and Testament and Voivod, and it's just it was a really wide genre that gave birth to a lot of other genres like death metal, black metal, what have you. So it's fun to look back at that, and I'm doing some research for a black metal episode, which I've talked about doing for a while, but it's got me back in this era of thrash metal and just appreciating how wide open it was.
Yeah, that was one of those bands that I kind of was like, no, they're more noise than they are thrash. But then you go back and listen to it and go, yeah, thrash had noisy moments as well, or sometimes. So it was kind of, like you said, it's on that fringe of that. Back then, the fringe or the thrash was a bigger bucket. I think it started out kind of small, but then it kind of expanded. And then some of the bands broke off and stopped being thrashy altogether. Mm-hmm. And, Overkill would kind of muddy those waters as well. Obviously with I Hear Black was a complete departure from a lot of the thrash that they had done. And then they incorporated it back in again going forward from that album. Great album. I love it to death, but definitely more removed from more groove and more Sabbathy than it was thrash. And so Voivod's always one of those weird asterisk-y bands for me. That it's like, there's thrash elements, but it's just they're unique. And so you can't, when you think of like that Venn diagram of thrash, there's like this gritty electronic noise side that a lot of bands don't really cover. Or they might touch into it, but I feel like Voivod kind of owns that.
Yeah, and they're really just on the map for me because of this song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, hearing this was just like, these guys are fucking great, just because they covered this tune, And I'm not well versed on their catalog. I mostly just know this album. But what else you got on your list? We got any other surprises?
I don't know if I got any surprises. I'm going to I have a feeling this one's not on your list, but I am going to bring it up on the possibility it made your list, and it wasn't on the original list. And that is Metal Church's cover of Highway Star, which was originally 72 from Deep Purple from the Machine Head album. And it would be 12 years later that Metal Church would kick ass with it on their debut album with David Wayne on vocals. Nate, I'm assuming you don't have Metal Church on your list.
No Metal Church. I don't have that song. I kind of forgot about it, actually, but they did do a good cover of it. Didn't Overkill do a cover of that song, too?
I want to say they did. Because, yeah, they had that cover kill, and that had so much on it. But it's definitely no, like, A level, like the other ones we mentioned, Undisputed Attitude and such.
Cool, man. Good song. Lends itself to being covered by a metal band.
Yeah, and a thrash band at that. Yeah. That's one thing is some of these songs, like, fit perfectly. There's even a few that I found where I'm like, there's a Sweet song, Set Me Free. And I forget the name of the band that covered it. I want to say... Oh, shoot. That's not it. Anyhow, I listened to the thrash version of it. I'm like, man, that song lends pretty good to a thrash cover. It didn't make my list, but I was like, okay, I noticed that. That's pretty cool. So there's a few of them that were like that, where it's like they sped it up, they thrashed it up, and it was like, that freaking works. That's great.
All right, let's see if this one is on your list. Dark Angel covering Immigrant Song from Leaves Scars, 1989. This was originally done by Zeppelin on their album 3 from 1970.
I do not have that.
Are you familiar with it? Have you heard it? Or
I think once or twice.
Okay.
And I think I'm a little too in love with the original version that it's hard for me to go astray from that.
I think the vocals work really well on it.
Trying to remember. I think I revisited it for my list, and I was like, no, I'm not. This isn't going to make the cut.
Yeah, this was one that I listened to quite a bit back in the 80s.
Space Truckin' was on Cover Kill. That's what I was thinking of. But they bounce around. They always have like those covers in their side pocket for various reasons and such. So yeah, I'm not sure if they did cover that one.
I think I was thinking Space Truckin'. Now that you say it.
Yeah, Zeppelin covers are tough. And the funny thing is during my research for the Megadeth special I was doing for the radio show, I found that Megadeth had covered Zeppelin, and I had no clue. Back in the United Abominations recording sessions, they recorded a bonus track for the Japanese release of United Abominations, and they did Out on the Tiles, and actually it's not too bad.
Huh. I'll have to check it out.
So if you've not heard that, check it out. I did actually play it last night on the radio show. I didn't end up bringing it to the 24-hour takeover. There's just not enough time. It was kind of a bonus track I brought along with, but I made sure to get it on the air this morning when I was on the air. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And then they fade the song out, and then the song comes back in, and they do a medley of like Zeppelin riffs at the very end of it.
Huh.
Little Cashmere and some other stuff thrown in there. So yeah, definitely check that off if you've not heard that. Put that in your to-do lists.
Well, the Immigrant Song is a heavy song by Zeppelin.
Yes, it is.
So it's a perfect cover for a metal band, I think.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a lot of people consider it, like one of those early birthings of heavy metal. It's like pointing in that direction.
Sure.
And I know Jimmy Page would probably not agree with that statement, but Deep Purple also hates being talked about as a proto metal band or along those lines.
Can't control how people are influenced, I guess, by your music, man. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, just accept it. Fuck. It's. I know for back then, especially those older bands, that moniker heavy metal was something they didn't care about. Kind of like the hair metal bands didn't like that moniker.
Yeah.
Don't get Eddie Trunk started on that one. Nate, I've got one here that I feel like will not be on your list, similar to the Metal Church selection, but one never knows. This one I got turned on to when it came out, but of course you kind of already knew the original back when this came out, so it was 9 years after the original came out, and that is Defiance off of Void Terra Firma in 1990. They covered Iron Maiden's Killers and did a fabulous job. You know, one of those songs that translates very well to thrash is this cover of Killers by Defiance. I love this album already. And then it's like, actually, I think by my druthers, I'd almost say I prefer the Defiance version over the Iron Maiden version. It's such a great thrash song. And if you haven't heard it and you're a thrash metal fan, you know, in the vocals work, just the, you know, when they go, you know, think of that with like the precision of a thrash band, you know, just hitting those marks on that, just kicks ass. And I wasn't even sure. This one, I was one of my early, like, I'm going to put this on my list and see if it survives. And I just couldn't pull it off. There was so many other things I could jettison, but this one, yeah, it's funny because I mentioned, I messaged you. I had to get rid of one song because I was in my brain, I was thinking we had to pick 10 songs, but the original list is 11. And I went back and looked at the original list and I saw the title of top 11. I was like, oh my God,
I don't have to get rid of it.
I don't have to take anything off. Yeah, I don't have to pick which one that makes that 11 spot because I can have 11. So, and I don't know if this was it, but I just remember being very pleased that I didn't have to do any more cutting because, yeah, that was difficult. So, Nate, I'm assuming you have no Defiance.
No Defiance. And I have not heard that cover, so I'll have to check it out. All right. I got 2 left. I'm curious. I don't think you'll have this one, but who knows? And that is Sacred Reich covering War Pigs.
I do not.
From their Surf Nicaragua EP, 1988, which, of course, was by Black Sabbath from their Paranoid album, which was released in 1970. Big fan of the Surf Nicaragua EP. I have it on vinyl. I still like to listen to it, and they did a really nice job with this cover. And again, I wasn't a huge Black Sabbath fan back in the day. That's something I kind of got into later in life, but I liked other people's covers of their music, I guess.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. God, I'm torn on this one. I'm like, did I hear this? Because for some reason in my brain, I feel like I could kind of pull it up a little bit. I definitely got to check into that one. Definitely wouldn't have had Faith No More's version. I as much as I enjoy that, I'm like, it's not strong enough to find the list, and plus they're not a thrash band.
Yeah, they're not thrash. So.
Oh, there's my list. I forgot I had those recommended listenings. Heathen, that's the one that did Set Me Free from Sweet. Well, Nate, the last one on my list, and I'm going to assume this one is nowhere near your list, but again, you didn't think I'd have Astronomy Domini, so we can surprise each other. But my final selection is Forbidden with their cover of 21st Century Schizoid Man, originally by King Crimson from 1969 from In the Court of the Crimson King. They covered it on Distortion in 1994.
Interesting. I don't think I've heard that one, and that's a cool song. I'm curious.
Then you really got to check it out. Hell yeah. If you like the original.
Yeah, I like the original. Huh.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Another one for your homework list. So what's your final?
All right. My final is Law's Rocket and their cover of Holiday in Cambodia, which was on their album Annihilation Principle from 1989. I'll note that Destruction also did a cover of this song, but I did not think it's as good. The Dead Kennedys originally did this on their Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables from 1980.
Dang, that's a good pick. I played that on the 24-hour takeover. That's the song I played because they had played, I don't think they toured with Megadeth, but they had at least done a show with Megadeth. And that was the song I brought to the thing. And I have, boy, that's a tough one if I'd made my list. It's possible. That could have possibly even knocked off 21st Century Schizoid Man. There would have been my 12th, trying to figure out what am I going to bump to get that on the list. That is a great, translates very well to thrash. Extremely.
Well, there was a lot of crossover happening with punk and hardcore.
That's true.
You know, and thrash, which it was a genre called crossover. Bands like DRI and MOD and others. But yeah, I was like I said, back in the day, I was a fan of punk, and so I was also a fan of metal. And so when metal bands were covering these punk bands, I just thought that was the coolest shit ever. And Holiday in Cambodia is, way up there with one of the better Dead Kennedy songs in general. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, Laws Rocket did a really good job. I kind of forget about Laws Rocket, and just based on their name, I wouldn't consider them to be a thrash band, but they definitely are.
They are. And they got some bangers,
some good stuff,
as the kids say.
So yeah, that's my list of 11.
Hell yeah, I like that. I like that one that you ended with. That's definitely in consideration for my list, but unfortunately, for some reason, it escapes me, which is very ironic because I just played the damn song.
That's funny. I swear to God, I'd have been really fucking surprised, just like with the Voivod, if you'd have had this one. But yeah, you just heard it though, so you're familiar with it.
Yeah, and I really like it. So yeah, yeah. I'm not going to rework my list, but that's a definite consideration. That could have definitely made my top 11. I'm kind of scanning, like, what could I get rid of? No, I'm not going to do that. Anyhow, yeah. So that kick-ass song to wrap up both the lists. There's a couple that I found, and I is like recommended listening. Of course, I mentioned Heathen with "Set Me Free" from Sweet. Another one that I'd recommend is Coroner. They did "I Want You" from the Beatles. She's so heavy. Definitely check that out. They did a great job with that. And, that was what I was going to mention. When they brought up Exodus, if you want a good Exodus cover, go with Dirty Deeds. Their version of Dirty Deeds on Temple of the Damned is far better than Lowrider.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Lowrider. I like the song, just not their version of it.
Yeah, agreed. I listened to the original 10,000 times over the cover. And then another one to put in your back pocket if you're a fan of such songs. Zentrix did a cover of Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to listen to, but I'm like, nah, that ain't going to make my list, but that was fun. I liked it. And of course, I have in my notes Ray Parker Jr. / Huey Lewis / the Bar-Kays, because the Bar-Kays had a instrumental version called Soulfinger back in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of feels like it could have been something that inspired Huey Lewis and the News to write I Want a New Drug, which inspired Ghostbusters. I think it was I Want a New Drug. But there was a lawsuit, and Huey Lewis did get a bunch of money because they did approach him to write the theme song, and he declined to do it. So they got Ray Parker Jr. to write a Huey Lewis song using formula of one of the Huey Lewis songs. And I want to say it's I Want a New Drug anyhow. But if you research the lawsuit, you'll find that information. But one band I don't think is mentioned in the lawsuits is that Bar-Kays Soulfinger. Definitely check that out. Just as like it kind of feels like this could have influenced the Huey Lewis and into Ray Parker Jr.'s version. But Zentrix does a great job on that. That one's kind of a fun listen. Ooh, Nate. You still got my head spinning on that Laws Rocket. Damn it. I'm bummed that I didn't have it on my list. But you saved me because you covered it, and also I didn't have to decide which of these I would pull. It may have been that forbidden 21st Century Schizoid Man if I were to pull one for that Laws Rocket. Yeah. But for now I don't have to because you got it, and I really do like that 21st Century Schizoid Man.
Yeah, it's a lot of good covers that we covered. Between three lists.
Yeah, between three. Although, yeah, I'm looking at that master list is just, we beat it all to hell. We covered, there's some crossover with the artists. We got Anthrax, we got Megadeth, Metallica, Overkill, Sepultura, Slayer, and I covered Testament, but we didn't agree on much song-wise. You did, that's right, on Orgasmatron, and I did with Dissident Aggressor. And that's another one too that's enjoyable from either band. I can listen to the Slayer version and enjoy what's there. And then I also I like listening to the Judas Priest version and having Rob Halford, stand, fight. Yeah. And I like the way Slayer is like, we're not doing that. We're just going to throw some guitar in there. I'm like, fuck yeah, that works. That's awesome. That's thinking outside the box. That's how you make a killer cover. So Nate, we got to wrap up with a song. We got to send a song. We got to have something. Are we something we got some crossover on, or are we?
What about Holiday from Cambodia?
We can easily do that. I think that's a good choice. Make sure that people get that in their ears here today. They just heard you gushing about it, me lamenting that I didn't even consider it, which is, God, still mind-boggling.
Yeah, the fact that, that makes it a good closer. I was originally thinking "Fuck You" because it's such a fucking awesome song, but no, Laz Rocket, Holiday in Cambodia would be a cool close show closer.
Yeah, and if you're doing a search for the band Laz Rocket, it's LAAZ space ROCKIT. That's how they spell it. Do you catch why they named the band Laz Rocket?
No.
After the rocket, it's like LAWS, Laz Rocket. Yeah. And they just decided, well, we're going to spell it differently.
Okay. And
I feel like it was a detriment to the band. I think they should have came out with a better name. The artwork is great. The artwork screams. If you were at a record store and you go, Laz Rocket, isn't that a hair metal band? No, it's a fucking thrash band. You'd see that from the cover art. That was back when you could look at cover art and go, I think I know what this band is. And with Laz Rocket, you'd probably be right. But the name, I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, so are they like Poison?
Yeah, it's Ricky Rocket's brother's band.
Yeah, Lars.
Lars Rocket.
Lars Rocket. So yeah, Holiday in Cambodia. That was released in January of 2009. Is that right? That's not right.
No, it was on the Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables album from 1980. And for Laz Rocket, it was on their album Annihilation Principle from 1989.
There you go. That's right.
Must have been a reissue or something.
That must have been a re-release. Yeah. I was looking at it like, wait, that's not right. No, and it was a single as well.
Sometimes I go into like Spotify and I'll pull up a band's discography and all of the dates are when the band hasn't even been putting out music, You're like, what the fuck? Yeah, reissues.
Well, fabulous. Great song to go out on. A lot of good songs. If you haven't heard the ones that we've rattled off, definitely check out. We should have this on the list, actually, Nate. Send me your notes on yours, and I want to put these together so people can revisit them without having to write them down if they want to go and revisit them. So much good stuff in here, and so much bands. Some of these bands are just so tough, but definitely a killer song to go out on, a fun song. Great version of this song. So here we go with Holiday in Cambodia by Laz Rocket. And until next time, my friends,
stay heavy.
stand, fight.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Disciples of the Watch. This episode was produced by Gene Vogel and Nathan Matnich. All music is property of the artist or the publisher. Please buy music and support the art we all love. Editing on this episode was done by Gene Vogel. Check out our website, dotwpod.com, for show notes, links, and more information on the show, as well as connections to social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the show using your preferred podcast application, or use our FeedBurner RSS feed listed on our website. Plug it into your browser or whatever app you're using, and then you will get all of the goodness moving forward. And you can also download the show as MP3 files from dotwpod.com. If you'd like to support the show, please click on the support us link at our website. As well, we have Patreon, so you can do a monthly contribution if you so desire, or purchase some of our merch from our website. Thank you for listening, friends, and stay heavy.